It's remarkable the focus of the D.C. press corps. It never ceases to amaze on whether President Trump should have been wearing a mask at all times during his visit. He was wearing a mask in one part of the facility, but not in another part of the facility. This became a question for the press corps, and AG Nussel of Michigan, done trying to close down a 77-year-old barber, turned her attention over to Donald Trump and banned him from Michigan for violating the Eva Peron of East Lansing's order about masks.
There was a lot of interest about whether you would end up wearing a mask today. Could you just take us through your thought process of why you decided not to wear a mask?
I had one on before. I wore one in this back area, but I didn't want to give the press the pleasure of seeing it. But no, where I had it in the back area, I did put a mask on.
Did you have the goggles on too as well, sir?
I did. I had goggles and a mask. Right back.
Why would you not be
and here's another one.
Why would you not be wearing it?
Because in this area,
why would you not be wearing it here, sir?
Not necessary here. Well, everybody's been tested, and I've been tested. In fact, I was tested this morning, so it's not necessary.
But the executives are wearing them.
No, continue.
Well,
just keeps going.
I was given a choice, and I had one on in an area where they preferred it, so I put it on, and it was very nice. It looked very nice. But they said not necessary here.
Sure.
It looked great. Yeah. I wear a mask better than you. Let's get that straight.
Presidential seal on it. This is bad boy.
Love it.
That matters so much to your lives, doesn't it? That exchange. One thing that does matter is what Trump said about the expected second wave of the virus come the fall, winter.
The people have done a great job, and General Electric, Ford, and all the other people that work with them have done fantastic work. And Honeywell, again, I was there last week, but Honeywell, they've done fantastically well also.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Smaller fires, the virus coming up. Are you concerned about a potential second wave of this virus?
People say that's a very distinct possibility. It's standard, and we're going to put out the fires. We're not going to close the country. We're going to put out the fires. There could be, whether it's an ember or a flame, we're going to put it out. But we're not closing our country.
Not closing our country again. That's about probably as close as you'll get to admission of some lessons learned from President Trump on this topic. For more on what President Trump had to say and a bunch of other matters, we're pleased to be joined again by Bret Baier, Fox News anchor, special report, 5 p.m. Chicago time, weekdays. #1 best-selling author of 3 Days at the Brink, FDR's Daring Gamble to Win World War II. Bret, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
Good morning. So it seems like President Trump and most of the governors around the nation have understood that there is a opinion change that's occurring within the body politic, wanting a reopening, not just as the weather gets better, but as economic conditions get worse. And so it was interesting that President Trump took the occasion there basically to say, look, I don't care if the strain is more severe or less severe, and there's some discussion about that ongoing. We're not shutting down the country ever again. So or at least I won't be party to that.
Yeah, and I think that that's part of the lessons learned, as you mentioned. I think that they're looking to states that are reopening successfully and really focusing on nursing homes and vulnerable and making sure that those people are sheltering in place, but the rest of the economy is moving forward. And if you have, as he said, flare-ups, then you isolate for 14 days and you deal with it as a per-element basis. But I think you're getting to a point where more and more people are saying, why did we do this to begin with? And because the economic devastation is really taking its toll. Even our latest poll, though, shows people are fearful about the reopen, in part because everything they've seen and heard. But those poll numbers are going down, and I think you're going to see a push for more of that.
Yeah, there was a Harvard poll done. I know Fox did some as well, but this is interesting, where 6 in 10 owners or managers of small to mid-sized businesses, forget Republican, Democrat, 6 in 10 owners or managers of small to mid-sized businesses said non-essential businesses should reopen. They understand they're under a time crunch.
Well, there's 50 states that all are in one way or another reopening in some phase. And even though it's really just a handful of states that have met the CDC phase one guidelines for reopening, all 50 states are trying because no matter Democrat or Republican governor, they realize that their states financially and the people inside can't handle it.
You've been a reporter for years, decades. And in all your years, were you surprised at the way in which the reporting news outlets all took the same agenda? I was unable to find one major or even minor news outlet that said, you might want to think twice about shutting down the greatest economy on the planet or the economy in general. And now, how do you think it's going to be reported? Will it be a recognition of the mistake that it clearly is presenting itself and showing itself that it has been?
Well, I mean, I will say that Fox, from the beginning, our news coverage has always included somebody who was raising the alarm about the economic issues, even from the beginning, but also did the coverage about what the doctors and medical people were saying and the advice they were giving. So I agree. It's a scary thing, and the news coverage did go one way. Obviously, the key part is there's more than 90,000 people who died, and it's a very contagious disease. So the health side of this is just as important. But I think in retrospect, a lot of these states are going to say, we could have done this by locking down nursing homes and the vulnerable and let the economy keep going.
Yeah. And, it's the sort of the argument about what we did and what we could have done rages on. New York Times publishes this model out of Columbia University suggesting if we had moved to social distance earlier, just a week earlier, we could have saved, 80% of the lives that were lost during a certain time period that they looked at the data. But Jim Garrett, over at the National Review makes a good point. That's always lost in this discussion. This is a free society, and consent of the governed turns out to be really important. And so initially, much to this will probably come as a shock to much of the D.C. press corps, not you, but much of the rest of it. Those red states that reopened more quickly than other states, they were also shutting down, sheltering in place more quickly than was reported because people, as information was coming out, were doing it themselves before any politician was making the formal action of an executive order. They were already adjusting their conduct based on the information that was being made publicly available. And then they continue adjusting their conduct as we get more and more information, as we learn more and more. And as we come out of this, including learning things that we thought were true that are not true, like transmission on surfaces and stuff that came out this week. And so consent of the governed on the way in and on the way out. And that is just not part of the larger discussion very often within press circles, certainly not the pages of the New York Times.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, citizens have a say in how this all goes down, one way or another. How about this? Customers have a say. You're not going to go into a store that's not doing what it can do to keep you safe. So that will be your choice, whether you go to that store and buy something there. And it would behoove that owner to make it as safe as possible. To the Columbia study, if China had acted 2 months earlier, 100% of the deaths probably here would not be a factor. And I think the world is focusing on that more and more.
I wanted to switch gears and get your assessment of this story about Joe Biden and former Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko, these taped conversations that have been made public that don't necessarily cast Joe Biden in a particularly favorable light. I don't know that they're smoking gun of anything illicit either, but I mean, I guess the quid pro quo standard that was set during impeachment could be invoked here. But I just wonder, the Washington Post is trying to dismiss this as a big nothing burger. And I wonder if this is at least a something burger. There are questions that these conversations prompt.
Yes, of course. I mean, we acknowledge that the tapes are edited heavily. They do come from a Ukrainian pro-Russian legislator. But it is Joe Biden's voice, whether it's clips or not. interacting with the former President Poroshenko, talking about, like he did on that soundbite that everybody's seen a million times, getting rid of the prosecutor and the $1 billion on the other side of loan guarantees from the U.S. So is it, the smoking gun? No, but it does bring up the issue of Ukraine and how he dealt with it. And then that leads to, obviously, Hunter Biden and what he was doing with Burisma, the company there, and also China. So it's going to be an election issue. It's not, you can't discount that it's there. So I don't know why the Washington Post does.
Is there any anything that you're hearing, any scuttlebutt of a serious nature that Joe Biden is not going to make it to November as the Democrat Party nominee? I know, every time something like Susan Rice email to herself is declassified or tapes like the ones we were just discussing are released, there's, the specter of Andrew Cuomo is raised again.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I think there are people inside New York who are very upset with Andrew Cuomo and how he handled nursing homes.
No kidding.
So his star may be not as bright as it's perceived on some channels, but I think that that there is obviously that scuttlebutt and talk, but I think it's not real. And there's a real effort to get Biden to the finish line. I think his VP choice is going to be important.
I've got a Bret Baier question. I'll forget
Yes,
about
sir.
all the nonsense for a minute. I don't get a lot of Bret Baier time, so I've got a question for you. When you're listening to the news, when you're watching Joe Biden pull an Uncle Leo from Seinfeld, somebody get the damn phone, when you have to pretend that these are normal times as conservatives print money and all the nonsense, do you ever just have a hard time pulling it together to do the Walter Cronkite with the straight face and the hair all perfect? Do you ever just say, how can I do it one more day?
Yeah,
and are you dyeing the hair, Brett? Because there's no way you don't have gray listening to all this news.
We don't want it.
No. First of all, no dye.
All right.
That is fake news. This is.
Yeah.
I have my own hair. There is, this ability to pull back and go, what is happening? But that the way I look at it is that I need to be this kind of here's this side, because we just don't have that in today's news environment. And some people get, really mad that I'm not more angry about some atrocity on the left or the right. And I think it's better for me to do what I do because there's not a lot of places that do.
Yeah, we don't need you to go full Howard Beale. We got plenty of that on cable TV news at this juncture on both sides, I would say. He's Bret Baier.
But I'm not a robot either.
No, of course not. And, you've got your outlets. You play golf.
All right,
Exactly.
The snap hook. Is it a snap hook or a power fade? Which one do you flip?
No, he can play.
All right.
No, Bret can play.
Yeah, my miss is a hook, but, I rarely go left.
Well, if you come to Illinois, there's some good news. In just 10 days, we'll be able to play in a foursome. So I can have you out as a guest if you're going to be around in the near term, finally.
That sounds good.
Bret Baier, Fox News anchor, hosts a special report weekdays, 5 p.m. Chicago time. #1 best-selling author of 3 Days at the Brink, FDR's Daring Gamble to win WW2. Bret, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. And join us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I got really good hopes for it. I try to eat healthy, but there's no way I can get the nutritional equivalent in my diet that I get from Balance of Nature. What you eat today determines the kind of cells your body's going to make tomorrow. Instead of eating, 15 pounds of vegetables, you can take this product. And I think in the future, from taking Balance of Nature, my body's going to be making a lot better quality cells. I'm really excited about this product. You're going to get enough to make a big difference.
Don't wait to see what getting over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can do for you. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
The world is quickly changing on a daily, even hourly basis. Is your business prepared? One thing is certain, they need to stay connected no matter where you or your employees are located. With so many working from home right now, Turnkey IT provides you the peace of mind to keep your business connected with employees and customers to keep productivity high. Listen up, if you have an immediate need to work remotely, Turnkey IT has the solution for anyone and any size office. You can get connected with immediate remote access today with any network and no interruptions or complicated setup. Here's the deal.